Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, Daf Samach Aleph of Masechta Shabbis. Great daf today. Awesome daf. Let's just do a quick intro. Okay, so we're going to talk about going out wearing one shoe in Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos. Okay, which then gets us into how to put on your shoes. Right? I feel like this is one of the examples that often comes up when we want an example of a very detailed thing that we do in halacha, such as how to put on your shoes. Well, here's the Gemara for how to put on your shoes. Talk about wearing your tefillin Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos, and then the remainder of the page basically talks about amulets, which is somewhat cool as well. Let's do it, friends. So we're going to start all the way at the bottom of Daf Samach Amud Beis, on the bottom line. Here we go. So the Mishnah had said that do not go out to Rosh Hashanah wearing just one shoe. But the Mishnah then says, this is as long as you do not have any foot injuries. However, if one of your feet have an injury, then you may go out wearing just one shoe. Now, so the very top line of Daf Samach Aleph Amud Aleph says, however, if you do have an injury on your foot, so then you may go out wearing just one shoe. Now, so when you have an injury on one of your feet, so which foot gets the shoe? Is it the foot with the injury, or is it the foot without the injury? So Rav Huna says that the foot with the injury will be the foot that you put the shoe on. Okay, so you injured, let's say, your right foot, you will put your shoe on your right foot. So this means that Rav Huna's understanding is that a person wears shoes in order to prevent discomfort when he's walking. Right? If he walks with his bare feet, it will be uncomfortable for him, and therefore he puts on his shoes so that it will now be comfortable, and that is that. And how does this affect whether or not you can go out with one shoe? It affects it like this, because the assumption is that if you're wearing shoes, well, then you'll have no reason to be like hobbling, right? I mean, if you're not wearing shoes, so it's uncomfortable, maybe you'll be limping or whatever it is. But with shoes, there's no reason why you should be hobbling. And therefore, if the yentas see this guy and he is wearing one shoe, okay, and yet he's still hobbling on that foot that has the shoe, they'll say, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. The whole point of wearing a shoe is to prevent you from having to hobble, and this guy is wearing one shoe and yet he's still hobbling on that foot. How can you explain this? And they'll say, you know what, he must have an injury on that foot, and that is why he's wearing a shoe on that foot, and even so he's still hobbling. But that's why, because he has an injury, that's why he's wearing the shoe. But mistama, he does not have an additional shoe up his sleeve that he's hiding and carrying, and therefore they'll let him get away with only wearing one shoe. They won't assume that he is carrying another shoe somewhere. Okay? Fine. V'chia bar Rav Amar, and said Chia bar Rav ba'osa she'ein ba'maka. Whereas Chia bar Rav's take on the psychology of shoes is that you wear a shoe for comfort. Sure, you could walk around just fine without shoes, but having a nice comfortable shoe is very pleasurable. Okay, and therefore alma kasav l'shem tainug of it that you wear shoes because of pleasure. And what's going to happen is, so you wear shoes for pleasure, so you're going to put your shoe on the foot that is healthy, and then it'll be obvious that the foot that is without the shoe is all bloody and nebuch looking, and the yentas will be like, oh yeah, okay, right, got it. He's wearing one shoe, but the other foot is all a mess, and that's why he's not wearing the other shoe. And they'll let him get away with it. Okay, fine. Very, very fancy. Let's go weiter. Ve'af Rabbi Yochanan saver lahad Rav Huna. So now the Gemara wants to say that Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rav Huna, that you would put your shoe on the foot with the injury. Okay, how do we know this? The Amr le Rabbi Yochanan l'Shemen bar Rav Abba. No, l'Shemen bar Abba le Rav Shemen bar Abba. Okay, took 3 times, but I got it. So Rabbi Yochanan said to Rav Shemen bar Abba, Havli misanoi, bring me my shoes. Yoev le diyamin. And Rav Shemen bar Abba gave Rabbi Yochanan the right shoe. To which Rabbi Yochanan responded, Amule asiso maka. You've basically made my foot into a wound. What does this mean? It means the following. Rabbi Yochanan's opinion is that you would first put on the left shoe, and then you would put on the right shoe. Now, when Rabbi Yochanan asked Rav Shemen bar Abba for his shoes, and he received only a right shoe, what he was saying in response to what he responded to Rav Shemen bar Abba is, hey, you just gave me the right shoe. Now, I need to first put on my left shoe. If I skip my left shoe and immediately put on this right shoe that you gave me, well, I would no longer be able to put on my left shoe because that will be out of order. And therefore, I will have no choice but to go out to the public in wearing just my right shoe. And you've effectively, and then people are going to say, the Yentas of course, they're going to say, Rabbi Yochanan, why is he only wearing one shoe? Basically it must be that he has a wound on his right foot. And therefore, from sort of this understanding of the dialogue, of this interaction between Rabbi Yochanan and Rav Shemen bar Abba, it must be that Rabbi Yochanan holds that you would put the shoe on the foot with the injury. And that would be like Rav Huna. So the Gemara says, yeah, but that's inconclusive. You could just as easily argue that what Rabbi Yochanan was saying to Rav Shemen bar Abba is that, if you only give me this right shoe, so I'll have to put on my right shoe and go out to Rosh Hashanah, then people will say that, Rabbi Yochanan must have an injury on his left foot, and therefore he's wearing only a right shoe. Meaning you can really kind of go either way over here. That, Rabbi Yochanan going out with only one shoe and saying to Rav Shemen bar Abba, look, you basically just, made it, ki'ilu, I have a wound on my foot. Well, it could either be the right foot, and therefore putting the shoe on the right foot indicates a injury on his right foot, like Rav Huna, or you could say that, putting the shoe only on the right foot would indicate that there is a wound on the left foot, and that's why he's only wearing a right shoe, and that would be like Chiyah bar Rav. So it's inconclusive that Rabbi Yochanan necessarily holds like Rav Huna or Chiyah bar Rav here. Okay. V'az Rabbi Yochanan the Taimeh. Now, when Rabbi Yochanan responded to Rav Shemen bar Abba and said, hey, by giving me my right shoe, I will no longer be able to put on my left shoe because it will be out of order. So that is right, that's in line with Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. To Rabbi Yochanan, kitfilin kach menaylin, that we put on our shoes just like we put on our tefillin. Matfillin bismol, af menaylin bismol. So, maybe it's min alin, like shoes, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's a verb, like to put on shoes, or min alin, like referring to shoes. Or maybe it's just like the noun, just like tefillin is a noun, so also min alin is a noun. Okay. But in any event, Rabbi Yochanan says that you put on your shoes in the same manner that you put on your tefillin, okay? Your tefillin you put on your left arm, assuming of course you're a righty. And therefore, when it comes to shoes also, you would put on your left shoe first, and then your right shoe. That is Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. Meisvei. We have a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. Kishu Noel shel yamin, v'achar kach Noel shel smol. 1 second. We have a brisa that says that when you put on your shoes, you begin with your right shoe, and then you put on your left shoe. So how come Rabbi Yochanan is first putting on his left shoe, and then his right shoe? So Amar Rav Yosef, Hashd D'Tanya Hachi, from Rabbi Yochanan Hachi, Da'avad Hachi Avad, Uda'avad Hachi Avad. Rabbi Yosef gives a very interesting answer. He says, well, since we have a brisa that says put on your right shoe and then your left shoe, and Rabbi Yochanan says put on your left shoe and then your right shoe, so you could take your choice. You can either do like Rabbi Yochanan or you could do like the brisa, which is an extremely interesting answer, right? Which is an extremely interesting explanation by Rabbi Yosef, because, I mean, shouldn't this be a question on Rabbi Yochanan? How in the world could Rabbi Yochanan argue on a brisa? Rabbi Yochanan is an Amora and a brisa is Tanaim. How can Rabbi Yochanan argue on that? Rabbi Yosef seems to not have an issue with that, which is extremely interesting. Okay. However, of course, Rabbi Yosef can never get a word out without Abaye being there to ask a question. So Amalei Abaye. So Abaye says to Rabbi Yosef, Dilma Rabbi Yochanan hamasnisa la'avashmiele bi'avashmiele havahaderbe. Maybe Rabbi Yochanan simply was not aware of this brisa. And if he knew of this brisa that said put on your right shoe and then your left shoe, he would have said, oh, oops, I should really be doing like the brisa, and he would have done like the brisa and put on his right shoe and then his left shoe. So really maybe we should be putting on our right shoe first and then our left shoe, and not like Rabbi Yochanan. Or maybe Abaye says, maybe actually Rabbi Yochanan did know of that brisa, and for whatever reason he didn't hold of it. Maybe there's a different brisa that argues on it. I don't know. But maybe the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan, and Dafka not like that brisa. So Abaye doesn't seem to be thrilled with Rabbi Yochanan, with Rabbi Yosef's suggestion that you can do whatever you want over here. Like, maybe Rabbi Yochanan just wasn't aware of the brisa and we should really be doing like the brisa. Or maybe for whatever reason, Rabbi Yochanan did know of the brisa, but also felt that the halacha wasn't like the brisa, in which case we should be doing like Rabbi Yochanan, not just whatever we want. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Yirei Shemaim Yotzei Yidei Shtein Umanu Marbrei de Ravna. Says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, somebody who is fearing of heaven, he will do like both, satisfy both the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan and the brisa. And who is this person who is God-fearing and satisfies both opinions? That would be Mar Brei de Ravna. Now, as the Masoras Hashas points out, we saw a similar statement by Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak in Masechta Brachos, Hadaf Lamites Amud Beis, in the context of like Lechem Mishnah, the prusa and the small bread and the piece of a bread and the whole bread. Anyways, over there it says Mar Brei de Ravina. Here it says Mar Brei de Ravna. I wonder if that means that Ravina and Ravna were the same person. I don't know. Maybe. It would seem very similar. Everything else is very similar. Mar Brei de Ravina versus Mar Brei de Ravna, which is Ravina and Ravna, very similar. And you have Nachman bar Yitzchak saying that this Yarei Shemaim is this Mar Brei de Ravina / Ravna. Could be that Ravina and Ravna are the same person. Anyways, so I'm sorry. The suspense must be killing everybody. What does he say? How is he Yotzei both Shitas? So, Heichi Yavid, what should he do? Siyim diyamine velo kater. So what you do is, you first put on your right shoe, but don't tie it. Visiyim dismale v'katar, and then you put on your left shoe, and now you tie your left shoe, v'hadar kater diyamine, and then you go back and tie your right shoe. So like that, you satisfy all opinions. You satisfy the opinion of the brisa, which says first put on your right shoe and then your left shoe. You also satisfy the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan by first tying your left shoe and then tying your right shoe. Amr Rav Ashi, Chazini Rav Kahana de lo kapid. So Rav Ashi says, look, I noticed Rav Kahana that he really didn't care. Like, I guess he would just put on his shoes however he would like to put on his shoes. Now, interesting, so there are two Rav Kahanas. So one Rav Kahana was a student of Rav, and then we have another Rav Kahana who was the teacher of Rav Ashi. Okay, there's Rav Kahana Aleph and Rav Kahana Beis. So just FYI. So Mistama Rav Ashi was referring to his teacher, Rav Kahana. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Kishu Noel shel yamin v'acharkach Noel shel smo. When a person is putting on his shoes, so he first puts on his right shoe, then he puts on his left shoe. Okay? Doesn't really seem to say anything about how you tie them. You just put on your right shoe, then you put on your left shoe. Kishu choletz, when he takes off his shoes, choletz shel smo v'acharkach choletz shel yamin. So first you take off your left shoe, and then you take off your right shoe. And Rashi says, Dizeu kvodo shel yamin, because this is the honor of the right foot, right? We are kilu honoring the right foot by leaving the shoe on it for longer. We had a similar, this reminds me also kilu when in the context of like meals, of sudas, that when you have a great person, so they would get rid of his table last, kilu, they would leave it for him, leave his table in front of him till the end. So here also kilu, it's the honor of the right foot to be able to hold on to the shoe for longer. So you first take off your left shoe and then your right shoe. When you're washing your hands, so you first wash, it's like netilas yadayim or something, right? So you first pour the water on the right hand and then you pour the water on the left hand. When you apply oil to your hands, first apply the oil to your right hand and then to your left hand. I wonder if this would apply to like, I don't know, hand cream, things like that. I don't know. And somebody wants to apply oil to his entire body. I wonder if this applies to soap or something. I don't know. So you begin with your head, because your head is the king of all of your limbs. Okay. Don't go out to Rishus Harabim on Shabbos wearing your tefillin. Okay. Omar Rav Safra, Lo tema aliba demanda Omar Shabbos lavzman tefillinu. So Rav Safra says, obviously, this goes without saying, if you hold that there's no mitzvah to put on your tefillin on Shabbos. So if there's no mitzvah to put on your tefillin on Shabbos, certainly you should not be going out to Rishus Harabim with them. You shouldn't be wearing them at all. Ela afilu manda Omar Shabbos zman tefillinu lo yetze doma asin liisuye Rishus Harabim. Right? Even if you hold that there is a mitzvah to don tefillin, to wrap tefillin on Shabbos, still you should not go out to Rishus Harabim with them, because we're concerned that you might have to go to the bathroom and take them off, and then you might carry them dalat amos from Rishus Harabim. V'ika demasni la seifa. And there are those who teach this teaching of Rav Safra on the seifa of the Mishnah. What does the seifa of the Mishnah say? V'im yotza eino chayiv chatas. Now, if he does go out with the wearing his tefillin, he's not going to be chayiv to bring a korban chatas. It goes without saying that according to the Mandamar, who says that there is a mitzvah to wear tefillin on Shabbos, to wrap his tefillin on Shabbos, obviously he wouldn't have to bring a korban chatas, because there's a mitzvah to wear tefillin, and he's wearing them. Right? Nonetheless, we say don't do it because we're concerned that you're going to carry them. But if you wear it in Rishus Harabim, obviously you don't have to bring korban chatas. But even if you hold that there is no mitzvah to wear tefillin on Shabbos, nonetheless you will not be chayav to bring a korban chatas. Eino chayav chatas ma'itami derech mabush avida, because he's wearing it. Right? You don't carry your tefillin, you wrap them on your arm, you put it on your head, and therefore since you're wearing it, even though it's not a mitzvah to wear tefillin, you still won't be chayav a korban chatas because you're wearing them. V'lo b'kmiya b'zman she'eino min ha'mumche. So the Mishnah had said that if you're wearing an amulet, right? I guess people, when they would get ill, there were certain like charms that they would wear, keilu, and we're going to see that there are different types of charms, right? You can theoretically have a charm that is made out of different roots of plants, and they would take these roots and I guess put it in some kind of an encasing, and you would like hang that on your neck or something. And then there's also things that they would write down, right? Maybe you'd have a scribe who would write down special psukim and all sorts of things, I don't know, and you would wear that, okay? So now there is kamiyas that have been proved to work, and they're proven to work if they've worked 3 times. And there are kamiyas that are experimental. They haven't yet been proven to work. We're trying to see if they will work. So, Amar Rav Papa lo tema ad demumche gavra umumche kamiya. Elakeva demumche gavra afal gav de lo mumche kamiya. So now, what I just explained was how an actual amulet can become expert, right? If it's been proven to work 3 times, so then we can assume that it works and you can wear it. Now, but there's also the writer of the amulet. has he gained a reputation of having sort of winner amulets. And the way that he gets this reputation is that if he writes 3 different amulets for 3 different people, for 3 different illnesses, and it turns out that his amulets are effective in healing this sickness, so then this guy is now an expert. So even though maybe these amulets have not been proven to work 3 times, but this guy has written 3 unique amulets that worked for 3 unique illnesses, so then he is an expert amulet writer. Okay, so what Rav Papa is saying, right? Amar Rav Papa, lo tema adimumche gavra umumche kmiya, that in order to wear an amulet in Rosh Hashanah, don't say that we would need both the writer of the amulet as well as the actual sort of amulet itself that was written. We don't need both the writer and the amulet to have been proven to be effective 3 times. Elakevin de mumche gavra, rather, once you have an expert amulet writer, afalgav de lo mumche kemiya, even though this particular version of an amulet has not been proven to work on 3 separate illnesses. No, not illnesses. I mean, you would only use 1 amulet per illness, but, even though this particular amulet has not been proven to work 3 times for this illness, nonetheless, since the amulet writer is an expert writer, that would be enough to allow you to go out to Rosh Hashanah with it, even if it's like a brand new formula for an amulet. Dekanami, we can also infer this from our Mishnah, Dekatani, as it says, V'lo b'kmiya bizman she'eno min hamumche, right? That you're not allowed to go out with an amulet if it doesn't come from a mumche, from an expert amulet writer. Right? V'lo katani bizman she'eno mumche. It doesn't say if the amulet itself is an expert. No, it means that if the amulet writer has not been proven to be an expert, so then you cannot go out with it. But if the amulet writer is an expert amulet writer, that he's had 3 successes with 3 unique amulets for 3 unique illnesses, so then you would be allowed to go out with an amulet written by this amulet writer. Shema Mina. So there you have it. It's enough if just the amulet writer was an expert, even if this particular amulet that he wrote for you has not been proven 3 times yet. Tana Rabbanan. The rabbis taught, Ezu kmiya mumche, so what's considered a amulet that is expert? So kol sheripe vishina vishilesh. Okay, if you have an amulet that has worked once, and then it worked a 2nd time, and then it worked a 3rd time. Echad kmiya shel ksav, echad kmiya shel ikarin. You can go out to Rosh Hashanah with this amulet, whether it is a written amulet or whether it's an amulet of like plant roots. Echad chole sheyesh bo sakana, vechad chole she'ein bo sakana. Whether the ill person is like in mortal danger, or whether he has a headache. Not mortal danger, but uncomfortable. Lo she nichpa ela shelo yichpe. Now, in order to be able to wear an amulet, it doesn't mean that like you have to have already had episodes of like epilepsy, as Rashi explained. But let's say in your family, there's epilepsy. So you want to wear this amulet to prevent you, so that you should never have to experience epilepsy. So that's also fine, right? It doesn't just have to be in response to an existing condition. It could also be sort of a probiotic, if that's what probiotics are. To prevent you from getting epilepsy. V'kosher umatir, and you can tie the amulet, you can untie the amulet, afilu b'Rosh Hashanah, even in the public domain, uvavad shelo yikshirenu b'shir uvtabas, as long as you do not tie this amulet to your bracelet or to a ring, v'yetze bo b'Rosh Hashanah, and then go out with this amulet on your bracelet or your ring, mishum maris ha'ayin, because we're concerned about maris ha'ayin, we're concerned about what people might see and think, because Rashi interestingly explains that because amulets are not ornaments, they're not tachshitin, okay, and therefore We don't want to make it look like one. Right? As Rashi says, top Rashi and top line of Rashi, we don't want it to look like I'm sorry, right? Because if you wear it on your bracelet or your ring, it won't look like you're using it for healing. It'll look like you're using it for an adornment. But it isn't an adornment. You're only wearing it as a healing thing. And therefore, interestingly, that would be the only purpose why you should be wearing it. And we don't want it to make it look like an ornament because people will think that you're wearing it as an ornament, which is not what it is. Interesting. And I guess that would be a problem. Okay. So one second. We just said at the beginning of this brisa that this amulet would be considered expert if it has worked 3 times. Yet we have another brisa that says that an amulet is considered expert if it worked for 3 different people. Right? That it's a matter of 3 different people. So lokasha, had l'machuye gavra, had l'machuye kamiya. So these 2 brises are actually talking about different things. When the first brisa says that the kamiya has to have been effective 3 times, i.e. the same kamiya was, because there's lots of different kamiyas, right? Maybe for headaches, you write one kind of kamiya. For stomach aches, you write a different kind of kamiya, right? So if this specific kamiya worked 3 times, so then it's an expert kamiya. And this brisa that says it needs to work for 3 different people, that's actually talking about the kamiya writer, the amulet writer. That if the amulet writer succeeded in writing 3 separate types of kamiyas for 3 different people to heal 3 different types of conditions, so then he would be considered a expert kamiya writer. Amar Rav Papa. So now Rav Papa asks a question. He says, Pshitali, it's obvious to me that plus kamiye, that if you have one fellow who writes 3 amulets, lislas gavre, for 3 different people, tilsa zimne, right? And he writes each amulet 3 times, meaning you have 3 different people come to him with 3 unique conditions, and he writes 3 amulets for these 3 different amulets for these 3 different people, and the amulet was effective 3 times. Well then, ismache gavra. Okay, so this guy is clearly a expert because he wrote 3 different home run amulets. Vismache kmiya, and each of these amulets have worked 3 times, so the amulets themselves are also expert. Okay, Rav Papa says, I get that. Next, tilsa kmiye litilsa gavre, chad zimna. So gavre ismache, kmiya lo ismache. If he writes 3 amulets for 3 different people, but each amulet he only wrote it once for them. So basically, the writer kind of scored 3 times, but the amulet itself only worked once per person. Well then, gavre ismache, so the amulet writer is an expert. Kmiya lo ismache. However, each amulet, since it only worked 1 time each, so they are not yet recognized as expert amulets. Okay? And the nafkamina being, right, Kilu, let's say I develop some like amulet recipe, okay? And I've proven that this amulet worked 3 times, okay? So now that also means that other amulet writers can write this amulet and it would still be considered an expert amulet, since this, they're just using that recipe, so to speak, for an amulet, and that's a home run recipe. It's a recipe. It's like almost like generic kind of medications, right? So you have like, the medication that has been proven to work, and then you have kind of the generic brands that just use the recipe and it works. So that's what an expert amulet is. And when you have a guy that is an expert, then it's the opposite. It means that, even if you have an amulet that hasn't yet been proven to work, but since it came from this guy, well, then it's going to be an expert. We can treat his sort of clout to treat the situation as an expert and allow it. Now, okay, where are we? Tlasa zimne ismachi gavre ismachi kmiya. Tlasa kmiya tlasa gavre chad zimna gavre ismachi kmiya lo ismachi chad kmiya. Now we're up to, if he writes 1 amulet litlasa gavre. Okay, so he writes 1 amulet for 3 people. So kmiya ismachi gavre lo ismachi. So what if you have 3 people who come to this guy, okay, and they all have the same condition? So he writes for them the same amulet. So kmiya ismache, so the kmiya is an effective kmiya because it worked 3 times. Gavri lo ismache, but this guy is not an expert because he just wrote the same kmiya 3 times. So he would have, in order for him to be an expert, he'd have to write 3 separate kmiyas. So now by Rav Papa says, look, up until now everything's been straightforward. But here is my question. Tlasa kmiya lechad gavra mai. What if this kmiya writer wrote 3 separate kmiyas, and each one of these kmiyas worked, but it was for this one guy? Okay, so kmiya vadai lo ismache. So now certainly the amulet, they've only been proven to work 1 time, right? There were 3 different conditions. He wrote an amulet for each condition, so each amulet only worked once. So certainly each amulet is not considered expert. Gavra ismache, but do we say though that this guy, however, has been proven to be an expert because he just wrote 3 separate amulets and they all worked? O lo ismache. Or maybe this guy still would not be considered an expert. How come? Mi aminan ha'asele. Do we say, well, they worked, right? He wrote 3 amulets, all 3 worked, therefore this guy is an expert. O dilma mazala dai gavru dukamakabuksava. Or maybe the only reason why these 3 amulets worked was because this guy's mazal. As Rashi explained a few days ago, right? Everybody has their own angel. And therefore, this guy's angel accepts amulets. And that's why they worked. But let's say he would have written amulets for some other person. Maybe they wouldn't work. Maybe he isn't such an expert. He just somehow can make it work with this one guy. Teku. And we don't know the answer. Iba'ilu. The Gemara wants to know. Do amulets have holiness? Do they have kedusha? Or are they just like regular stuff? Okay. The mayochsa, what's an afkamina? What's an afkamina if it's considered to have kedusha or not? So, if you're going to say, well, if there's a fire on Shabbos, can I save these amulets from fire? If they have kedusha, then yes, and I guess if not, then not. So Tashma, come in here. Habrachis v'akmiyin afal pi sheish ben osios shel shem ume'inyanus harbi shebetorah ein matzilin osan mipnei adleika b'nesafim b'mkoman. We have a Mishnah already to tell us what we do with amulets in the case of a fire on Shabbos, right? Habrachos. Brachos, Rashi says, are basically like tefillas, like prayers, meaning he gives as an example the brachos of Shemona Esrei of Musaf on Rosh Hashanah, that have Malchios, Zichronos, and Shofros, all those psukim and stuff like that. The Akmiyin and amulets, Afapishesh Ba and Osios Shel Shem, even though they have the names of God written in them. Ume'inyanos Harbe, and they have all sorts of psukim. Shebetorah, in Matzilin Osan Mipnei Adleika, nonetheless, you would not save them from a fire on Shabbos, and they would just be burnt. Okay, so don't say that there's an afkamina between if there's kedusha or not in terms of can I save them. We know that you can't save them. Okay, Elina and Geniza. Okay, well, do I have to bury them? Do I have to put them in shemus? So Tashma, hayakasuv al yadus akelim. If you had the name of God written on the handle of a pot that you cook with, ve'al kari amita, or you had the name of God for some reason written on the leg of a bed. Yagod, so cut off the name of God, vignezenu, and bury it. So if you have to, bury the name of God that was written on your bedpost, well then certainly you would also bury these kamiyas that have God's name in them. Okay, so we know the answer to that as well. Ella likanes boen beves akise. Oh, the kasha is, what about going into the bathroom? Do you have to remove your kamiyah before going into the bathroom? If there's kedusha, so then you would remove it first. If there's no kedusha, then you can go into the bathroom with the kamiyah, no problem. So, yesh boen kedusha v'asir, or dilma ein boen kedusha v'shari. Do we say that there is kedusha and it's forbidden? Or do we say that there is no kedusha and you can go into the bathroom? Tashma, come in here, v'lo b'kamiyah b'zman she'eno min hamumche. Ha min hamumche nafik. So now our Mishnah said that if the kamiyah is not considered an expert kamiyah, so then you can't go out to Rishus Harabim with it. But if it is an expert kamiyah, you can go out to Rishus Harabim on Shabbos. V'amart kamiyan yesh ben mishum kedusha. And if you're going to argue that amulets do have kedusha, well, zimnin demitztrich levesa kisei v'asi li'isuyinu dalet amos b'shus harabim. Well, then how in the world can we say that you can go out with the kamiyah to Rishus Harabim on Shabbos if it's expert? Well, what if you have to go to the bathroom? If we say that there's kedusha and kamiyahs, well, what if you have to go to the bathroom? You're going to have to take off the kamiyah before you go to the bathroom. You might carry it in Rishus Harabim for Amos. So from the fact that we say that you're allowed to go out with an expert kamiyah on Shabbos must mean that kamiyahs do not have kedusha, and that's why we're just not concerned about carrying it in for Amos if you have to go to the bathroom. So the Gemara says, no, actually maybe I can argue that amulets do have kedusha. What about going to the bathroom? When the Mishnah says that you're allowed to go out to Rishus Harabim with a kamiyah, with an amulet, we're not concerned about going to the bathroom. It's because it's an amulet made out of these roots, out of these plant roots, okay? And therefore, you wouldn't have to take that off to go to the bathroom. There's no name of God. But if it was a kamiyah that had like the name of God, so then it would have kedusha, and you wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom, and you wouldn't be able to go out to Rishus Harabim. But one second, we have a brisa that says that you're allowed to go out to Rishus Harabim with this kamiyah, whether it's written, whether it's plants, whether it's roots. So we see that you would be able to go out to Rishus Harabim on Shabbos with a written kamiyah, and we're not concerned about carrying it to go to the bathroom, so there must not be kedusha. So the Gemara says, no, there is kedusha in these amulets. However, this is a person who's wearing the amulet is only allowed to go out wearing it if he is somebody who is in mortal danger, and therefore if you were to remove the amulet, he can mamish die. So therefore, the amulet has kedusha. Now he goes to Rishus Harabim. What if he has to go to the bathroom? Well, if he removes it, he'll die. So he could leave it on, and therefore we're not concerned about him carrying it. But if he was a cholesh she'ein bo sakana, has a headache, and he could take off the amulet, he would have to take it off, and then he wouldn't be able. But then he wouldn't be able to go out to Rishus Harabim with it out of that concern. Ve'atanya echad cholesh she'ein bo sakana ve'echad cholesh she'ein bo sakana. For 1 second, right? We said in our brisa earlier that you can go out to Rishus Harabim with a amulet, whether the guy is a cholesh she'ein bo sakana, whether he's a cholesh she'ein bo sakana. So, again, if it has kedusha, then what about if he has to go to the bathroom? So, Ella kevin demasi afagav denoket le biyad dinami shaper dami. So the Gemara answers that since this amulet is something that heals, since it's something that is going to heal him, so therefore he can even carry it in his hand for Amos, and that is no problem. But 1 second, Rabbi Oshaya says that you're not allowed to carry an amulet in your hand for Amos and Rishus Harabim. So, back to square one. If we're going to say that an amulet has kedusha, well, then how can he possibly go out to Rishus Harabim? He's going to have to take it off to go to the bathroom, and he's going to have to take it off to go to the bathroom, and he might carry it. So, or here we're talking about where the amulet was covered in hide, right? So he wrote the amulet, then he covered it in hide, and because it's covered in hide, he doesn't have to take it off to go to the bathroom, even though the amulet itself has kedusha. But what about tefillin? Tefillin, you write the 4 parshas of the tefillin, you then put it into the parchment, into like the boxes that are made out of hide, and yet, as we know from Masechta Brachos, V'tanya nichnas leveis hakisei, cholitz tefillin b'richu kar ba'amos v'nichnas, that somebody who's going to the bathroom has to first remove his tefillin. What should be the problem? The parshos are covered in hide. So we seem to be saying that even if the parshos are covered in hide, you still wouldn't be able to go into the bathroom. So hasam mishum shin. No, the issue with the tefillin is because of the letter shin. Tamar Abaye shin shel tefillin alach l'Moshe misinai. From Abaye daled shel tefillin alach l'Moshe misinai. From Abaye yud shel tefillin alach l'Moshe misinai. That Abaye says, okay, so on the shin of the tefillin, right? So on the tefillin shel rosh, on the box of tefillin that you wear on your head, so in the built into, or sort of like worked into the hide, into the box is that there's a shin protruding from the box. Okay? And that is, and therefore, and that's halacha Moshe Sinai. So therefore, in the leather itself, there is actually kedusha, and that's why you can't go in with it. And then also the dalid, which is the knot behind the tefillin shel rosh, and also the yud that is on the tefillin shel yad, is also halacha Moshe Sinai. Fine. However, you could still theoretically argue that the amulet does have kedusha. Okay, you can still argue that the amulet does have kedusha, and you can go out with it. And what about going to the bathroom? Since it's covered in hide, it would be acceptable. So it's inconclusive if an amulet has kedusha or not. The Gemara then says, "V'lo b'shiryon, v'lo b'kasta, v'lo b'magafayim." The Mishnah had said that do not go out on Shabbos with with armor or with a helmet or with these magafayim, which we'll explain. We'll explain all of them. But shiryon zarda. Shiryon is like armor, like a mail, I think, like M-A-L-E maybe, or M-A-I-L, or something like that. That's like those like shirts that they wear that's covered in like, metal and stuff. Kasda Amarav Sanvarta. So Rav says that a kasda is basically a helmet. It's like some hide head covering thing that you wear under a metal one. Magafayim Amarav Pizmake. Magafayim are like shin guards or something, some kind of protection, some kind of armor that you wear from beneath your knee, covering your shin until your feet. Well, that was the Samach Aleph of Masechta Shabbos. It was cool, right? There's some pretty cool stuff. So let's go over it. So wearing one shoe when you have an injury, right? So we say you're not allowed to go out to Rosh Hashanah wearing one shoe, but if you have an injury, then you may. So Rav Huna said that you would put the shoe on the foot with the injury. And he says because shoes are to prevent, stepping on uncomfortable things, and therefore if you put the shoe on the foot with the injury and you're still limping, then it will be clear that, oh wow, even with the shoe he's still limping, he must have an injury and he must not be carrying another shoe. Chia Barav says that you put the shoe on the foot without the injury because shoes are for pleasure, and therefore you would put you put the shoe on the foot that you can get it on, but the other foot is not going to have the shoe because it is injured, and that would be acceptable as well. Then we talked about how exactly to put on your shoes. Rabbi Yochanan says first put on your left shoe and then your right shoe. We have a brisa that says first you put on your right shoe and then your left shoe. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak said that a Yarei Shamayim, such as Mar Bar Ravina, would do both by first putting on the right shoe, then putting on the left shoe, first tying the left shoe, and then tying the right shoe. We said so the Mishnah said, do not go out to Rosh Hashanah wearing your tefillin on Shabbos. Now, Rav Safra said that even if you say that there is a mitzvah to wear tefillin on Shabbos, still don't go out to Rosh Hashanah with them because you might take them off and carry them. And there's another way to understand Rav Safra, which says, going on the seif of the Mishnah, which says that if you do go out, you won't be chayav a korban chatas. And Rav Safra is saying that even if you say that Shabbos is not the time to put on tefillin, you still would not be chayav a korban chatas because it's derech malbush. You are wearing it. Okay? And we then got into discussing amulets. And we said that Rav Papa said you can wear an amulet on Shabbos, even if, I think that was Rav Papa, that even if the amulet itself, So Rav Papa says that we do not need for both the amulet as well as its writer to be experts. It would be enough if only the writer was an expert. And I think maybe even if only the amulet was an expert as well. It's been proven to be effective 3 times. That would be acceptable. And then we had that whole teku of Rav Papa where we went into all the different scenarios. That's fine. And then we talked at the end about, do amulets have kedusha, right? And we said, what's the nafkamina? First we said, do you save them from a fire? We said, no, we know that you don't save them from a fire. We said, do you have to bury them? And we said, yeah, of course you have to bury them. What's the nafkamina? If you can take them into the bathroom. If they have kedusha, then you cannot take them into the bathroom. If they don't have kedusha, then you can. And we didn't really succeed in proving either way. Alright, well, that was Daf Samach Aleph. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.